Well, it's starting to get a little cold outside now. It's already getting to the 30s at night. And that brings me to what I wanted to discuss. Um, the events taking place in the world. As I've said many times before, and I think I've beat just about every dead horse you can beat into the ground. So let's talk about uh, how people are going to have to respond to the goings on. And I've told you all before that it's going to come to a point where people aren't going to be where they began at in the tribulation. And what I'm saying is that lots of people are going to be forced out of their homes, their residences, and they're going to have to end up fleeing to the wilderness, the woods, the mountains, the desert, whatever you're near. You're going to have to end up fleeing to those locations. Um, so that means that you're going to have provisions. It would behoove people to go out to the woods and start making deposits. By that I mean you're going to have to go out there and you're going to have to begin to find places to cache or store away, stow away your items, like your food, your water, your extra um, rounds, your any extra tools you may have. And that goes for defense tools and building tools because you're going to have to build shelters out there. Now, in my community post that I made, I think a week or two ago, um, I had posted one of a woman that lives in Europe, I think Germany, and I posted that of her building a shelter, uh, a primitive one out in the woods, made of tarp and wood only. And it was quite the shelter for it to be primitive. She had a fire pit in the middle of it, a little watchtower, um, and two uh, primitive buildings with elevated beds on them, all made of wood, and the tarp covering the wood as the roof. Um, Things like that. Those are going to be end up being permanent types of living situations as we go into the future. Um, some people will be even more enterprising and build cabins, or like in my story I wrote in the community tab, when the townspeople were forced into the woods, they were forced to build dugouts and foxholes and bunkers and things like that they ended up living in because of the CHICOM air reconnaissance, Air Force strafing, and whatnot, artillery strikes, things like that in the story. So they had to build things underground, shelters. People are going to end up doing things like that too. They're going to be forced to. They're going to have to. I mean, there's no way around it. I mean, so you're eventually going to end up with these types of living situations because that's just the way it is. And you're going to have to put all your trust and faith in Yeshua Messiah because he's not going to steer you wrong. If you're favored by him and you go out there, he's going to guide you every step of the way. But he's also going to help you to protect yourself. Just like Shema, when he fended off 800 Philistine aggressors and prevailed, you know, if you don't think God's going to do things like that in the end times, then you're sorely mistaken. We know the beast makes a war on the saints. So just because he ends up prevailing doesn't mean that God's not going to raise up, mighty men in those days that will, fend off hordes of aggressors and protect the innocent and keep people safe. I mean, and I'm talking defensively. We're not aggressors. Aggression is a sin. But defense, that's not even in the same category. That's a totally different issue altogether. And it'll be a defensive type of situation. I mean, the any kind of a conflict with any sort of a system like that. So in the future, people are going to have to be forced out of their what they've known, and they're going to have to build their own society, separate from the beast system. Our own society will consist of our own shops, our own courts for settling disputes, arbitration, things like that. You're going to have your own barter systems, your own communities, your own defense forces. Everything that existed in what we knew as society will come to pass in a new one, a separate one. So think about that. May Yeshua bless and keep you all always. Be blessed.